talked about generational trauma and how to put a stop to that. And even if we put a stop to it, it's not going to completely stop every behaviorism that we've picked up along the way or bad habit. Um, but it will eventually, over generations, stop it completely. Where there is way more love at home than negativity or dysfunction. But how do we even notice our own trauma? I think that can be difficult sometimes. And it's not just our own trauma, but kind of how we were raised, right? So, this is done by understanding our reactions and our choices and our behaviorisms. Um, and it is based off of our feelings, right? Have we had bad things happen to us? Have we had abuse happen to us? Were we bullied? Were we yelled at? Did our parents separate and divorce? Things like this have affected us in our childhood. And sometimes when we don't work on it, it kind of like throws itself in our face through our adult interactions, which is never a fun thing to have because we don't like to be like that. So, a great way to kind of start digging into your past, and it doesn't necessarily have to be trauma, right? Because not everybody experiences trauma. Sometimes it's just issues that we've had that make us feel bad, or like our light gets dimmed a little bit. And even something as good as a divorce, because your parents don't get along and it's better for them to be separated, and they co-parented well, and they did an amazing job with the transition. Even that can kind of mess us up a little bit because we're just kids and we don't know how to handle these feelings. So one thing we can do that people do in therapy is called a trauma timeline. Or if you really haven't had trauma, you can call it an issue timeline. But what you do is you go back to the very first memory you've had of where you didn't feel great, right? Something happened and it didn't have the greatest effect on us. So for me, my very first memory is being in second grade and my bio dad tried to kidnap me and my brother. That was the very first feeling that I had of something wasn't really great, or one of the first feelings. And then I would go from there and I would add some more events to that up till today. Then from this timeline, you would take each event and you would expand on it a little bit more. So I would take that second grade event and I would write about how I felt, what I saw, what I heard, and kind of how I felt in the aftermath of it all. And from there, I would figure out, okay, obviously being kidnapped, there's some issues there, probably some separation anxiety. How is that affecting my relationships now to this day? And what can I do to stop and change that? Um, Sometimes this is really hard work, but it can be really great work. And one thing you may notice is when you're writing down these issues or these traumas, is that you will have recollection of other things that have occurred that you haven't really remembered, because our minds are really great at making a barrier for us so that we can survive in this world. But sometimes it's to our detriment because we're not aware of it and we're reacting in ways that don't seem normal at all. And this leads us down to paths. We have the ability to choose whatever path we want. We can choose to work on this stuff a little bit every day or a little bit every week, or we can choose to ignore it and just blame other people for our own reactions and our own behaviors. It is entirely up to us. Again, that's an amazing thing that we have these choices that we get to make all the time. And it's hard to do these trauma timelines. It's hard to look into this stuff and do inner reflections. And sometimes you do need somebody to help you. So if it becomes too hard and you can't do it on your own and your trauma's too much, or your issues are too much, right? Go seek a professional who can help dig deeper into your lives. I would love to help you. And of course, there are other people out there that would love to help as well. The important aspect is that you are doing it for yourself and you're making that conscious change to be a better person.